Happy Friday, everyone. I hope you are doing well. Are you ready for the storm of the century? Or do you have your snow gear out? People have gone crazy because of the storm. I mean, there's so many people out, there's so many things that are sold and not in the stores. The news people, the weather people are so certain of stuff. Yet it's the story has changed. The storm of the century has changed a whole bunch from the beginning of this week or even from last week. Yet then they'll say, but this is a forecast that's subject to change. And then they'll talk about how this is a dire situation. They'll have the graphics and everything up of the storm of the century, and they'll tell us what we need to get in case our power goes out. And it's like they just like stoke the fire, you know? So I'll believe it when I see it. And yeah, I think that sometimes that our weather people do it for views and not because anything's actually going to happen. On that note, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I wanted to talk a little bit about desperation in the music world. I saw an article this week about the Metropolitan Opera, like the biggest opera company in the world, is downsizing. They have cut their positions, they are cutting people's salary, they are downsizing. And it's a little scary because we're feeling that a lot locally with smaller companies, but this is the biggest opera company in the world, the most notable, the most known, and they're having to do this. And so it just makes me think about the musicians that this affects. I mean, as musicians, we already don't have a huge pool of opportunity, right? We have a much smaller opportunity than, say, another kind of job out there. Um, by this stuff, the downsizing makes the pool even smaller. So, being a musician, do, can you think about a time that you felt desperate for something? You're desperate for a job, desperate for a position in an ensemble, can you think about that? I sure have. All aspects of my music career, I felt sometimes that feeling of desperation that I need this. Like I absolutely can't function without this thing. Oh, and I used to shame myself and judge myself so much when I would feel this way. Like I'm giving my power away is what I would think. When I feel desperation for something, whether it be a relationship or it being a situation or a job or anything like that, I feel like I have no power. I have just like given it away. It feels like out of my hands, like I can't control it, right? And desperation is a feeling, right? And there's nothing wrong with feeling desperate. We all have felt that at some point. And it's maybe hard for some of us to admit because society tells us it's so wrong that we can't do that. Like, that's not okay. But it is okay. It's okay to feel desperation, even if it's not the truth. Even if it's not the truth, it is a feeling and it's okay to feel that. I would just argue we don't want to make decisions out of that feeling. And so that's what I'm on here today because I want to talk about what are some things that we can do to not try to let that desperation, that desperate feeling control us. And I think the first part of it we just talked about. That is not shaming ourselves for feeling it, right? There are going to be times we're going to feel that we're not getting what we need, whether it be from a relationship, whether it be from the lack of a relationship, whether it be from a relationship that we were hoping for, or whether it being for a role that we were hoping to get, or a song we were hoping to sing, or like a spot in an ensemble or a performing group. We're gonna feel it, right? But recognizing that and not judging it and thinking that there's something wrong with you for doing that. I think that's a huge part. But I think the next part of this is to realize that yes, you might feel desperate for the thing, but it is just a feeling, and that we always have choice. My word of the year, choice. We do have choices. So maybe we're not able to go and be in the Mets. No matter how much I like want it, maybe that's not something that's feasible right now or ever feasible. Doesn't mean that I still can't audition other places. So maybe it's you could do like a few things, but maybe you could lean into it. If you feel like desperate for something, then maybe you go and try everything in your power to try and see if that you can make it happen, inspire it to happen, invite it to happen. You try it. If it doesn't work, then you have your answer. So that's one way to do it. That's a vulnerable way to do things. You're risking yourself, you're risking being hurt and disappointed and being vulnerable. All of those things are good things, though. They're not bad things. We need more of that. We are risk averse. We need to be more, take more risk. So that's one way to do it. Or we take our eggs and we put them in a bunch of different baskets. So we try, and if we want to do an audition, if we want to go for something, then try it, but then also try other things too. And create our own opportunities. I've talked about that a lot. Yeah. So you don't have some place to perform right now, get an audience going, suggest a spot. A lot of churches in the area, a lot of religious places in the area offer their sanctuaries. You could go and do that. So go and create your own performing opportunities. But I would just say either lean into it and just whatever happens, you might be hurt, you might be disappointed, you might be pleased, you might be like overjoyed with what happens, but to go for it, to lean into it, to go for it, or to spread your eggs in the baskets. Like, don't just focus on one relationship, one person, one venue, but to spread it out, see what happens. You'll have a better chance of that, your needs being met, So that's like another thing. My tendency, at least as an older adult, is to pull back. And that's also an option as well, to pull back, right? To rein that, to recognize the feelings, be able to sit in the feeling and not do anything with it, to not react to it, to just sit and to allow the feeling. And then to look inward to see, is this really what I thought I needed? Or is this not? And so to be able to just sit in it, to meditate in it a little bit. And that's also an option as well. But I think the problem with that is that you can do that for a while, but then there needs to be some action at some point, because otherwise you're just avoiding. It's just avoidance. And I've had a tendency to do that. Um, in the mental health arena, it might seem like certain people, and because of my job and because of the things that I do in musicians, maybe we are seeking out unavailable things, things that are not, that are like virtually impossible to work out. And maybe there's like an attraction to that, but I argue that maybe that was my story when I was in my 20s, when I was younger, but it is not the story anymore. That maybe there is an idea of, there's just not a lot of opportunity, there's just not. So it's like this desperate feeling, not because we feel like we need that exact thing, but because there's not anything else that's just as good, or is like compares in our brain, or like that it's just, there's just nothing else. And that is desperation too. And so again, I think the options are to lean into it, to spread out and do a bunch of different things to see if you can like think of other things, or to rein it in and just to like sit in the feeling and to meditate on it and figure out, is this actually what I want? I mean, it's any of those ways, it's tough. It's not an easy thing. It forces people to confront feelings that maybe they don't want to confront. I don't like to think about myself being vulnerable, or to, I mean, for me, when I don't get something, when something is not coming easily, sometimes my brain goes to, I'm not good enough. Like, this is not, uh, I'm not worthy. Like those stories come up, right? And that's what we don't want. So maybe they come up, and because we can't sometimes control like what we feel, the feelings come in and stuff. But then that's when we sit and we see it, that's not judging it, just not, yeah, just not making a decision from it. So what do you think? Do you have some other ideas about this? I didn't in this post, like about doing things that maybe we don't really want to do. I think musicians, we sometimes fawn, we sometimes manipulate things so that we can get what we want because there's so few opportunities, especially in like a local like area. And it's just interesting if we like I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I know that fawning is not how or fighting it is not necessarily the right way, and then like fleeing is not really it's allowing. I think it's a lot of allowing things to be, and doesn't mean that we have to accept everything and never try, but just like allowing and accepting. Yeah, yeah. And I hope that the Metropolitan Opera and other companies that are, because of the economy and everything that's going crazy right now, that they're not dying, that it's not dead, that it's more of just a transitional time. But if they are dying, if they are gone, if they are, this is the slow death of, the opera company, we will be okay. We will we will be able to figure it out. Things will be different. It's scary, but we will be okay. You know why? Because we have to. The alternative, not so good. On that note, enjoy your winter weather. Bye.